first Mexico's violence on video. As newspapers try to reinvent themselves and become internet destinations, they've been embracing web video. Click next to that column of words and you are experiencing newspapers, the web, and television merging into one medium. Even true with the Gray Lady, the New York Times. In fact, earlier this year, the Times hired a couple of top documentary makers to travel to Mexico and bring back the story of the deadly Juarez drug wars right across from El Paso on video. We will see some examples in a minute. They are the Renaud Brothers, who join us now. Craig Renaud, and next to him, Brent Renaud. Welcome to the program. Thank you very much for your work and for coming into our studio to discuss it.
Sure.
This they produced after their first visit to Juarez early this year. It's pretty graphic and scary, so we warn you here, tune away if it might be inappropriate for someone watching.
This is Juarez, Mexico, ground zero for drug trafficking into the United States, and the center of a major drug war between the Juarez cartel and the Gulf cartel. Brazen executions with automatic weapons are a daily occurrence here. Since the beginning of 2008, more than 2,000 people have been killed, making this border city across the Rio Grande River from El Paso, Texas, one of the deadliest in the world.
Is the guns preferred from the hitmen and the cartel people?
¿Esta qué es? ¿Es igual?
95% comes from the United States and illegal.
The weapons that are arming the drug war in Juarez are illegal to purchase and possess in Mexico. But anyone with a driver's license and a clean record can acquire them across the border in the United States. Since Congress lifted the ban on assault weapons in 2004, increasingly the weapons used in Mexico's drug wars are military-style weapons like AK-47s or American-made Colt AR-15s. Most of the weapons are bought at U.S. gun shows or big box retailers and smuggled into Juarez.
Wow, so we smuggle the drugs from Mexico and then smuggle the guns to the drug dealers across the border, is that it?
That's right, that's exactly how it works.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then we fight the drug war against the smugglers with the weapons that are brought in from the United States.
Right. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it seems almost like a losing battle, really, and that's really why we went there in the first place. About 6 months ago, the Mexican government decided to send 10,000 federal troops, their army, into Juarez to patrol the streets to try to stop the violence that was going on there. I mean, as we talk about there, brazen gun battles in the middle of the afternoon. And most of the people being killed are drug dealers. But inevitably, you know, other people get killed. It becomes Americans are scared to go there. The dollars are not being spent there. No one's going to the restaurants and bars anymore. And ultimately, it's the citizens of Juarez that suffer.
What's being smuggled in from there? What's the drug?
The drugs coming into the United States are mostly marijuana, is where the real money is. And the Mexican cartels control most of the marijuana distribution in the United States.
Why did it get so hot in Juarez?
Well, you basically have another cartel trying to come in on the existing cartel's territory, and that's when things had gotten so out of control. And so a lot of the murders and the hits that you see are these cartels battling for control of the city. And one thing that we saw when we just went back on our second trip is how brutal they're getting in their killings to try to scare off and put fear into the other cartels. I mean, we're talking about hands chopped off, heads chopped off. You know, we came upon one murder where somebody had been kidnapped in broad daylight in El Paso, brought back over the border. His hands were cut off and his throat slit. And a lot of times the cartels will call the media in Juarez first to let them know, so they show up with their cameras before the police even get there, because they want the message out to the other cartels of how brutal they are.
That clip was from April, do I have that right? And that was timed to coincide with President Obama's first visit as president to Mexico?
That's correct.
Is it a plea to him in any way to do something?
Well, I think the timing, that's good for it to be topical. But really it was about the deployment of the troops into the city, and we wanted to see what would the effect be on the violence. And the violence actually did go down dramatically from about 10 to 15 murders a day down to 2, sometimes 1 a day for a little while. Then 6 months later...
Let me just stop on that for a second and digest it. 10 to 15 murders a day.
Execution-style murders in the streets.
All gang against gang or drug cartel versus drug cartel.
Absolutely. Juarez is the most dangerous city in the world if you count the murders, over 300 in August. And but also 99% of them are drug dealers killing drug dealers. It's
That's
a war between the cartels.
Worse than Baghdad.
Absolutely.
Or Baghdad at the height of the war, probably.
Yeah.
Is one solution to this just that one of the cartels is going to win and they're going to have control of that turf and that's the end of that?
But you have to think about it. If there's 300 murders in 1 month of drug dealers, you got to realize there's an unlimited supply of foot soldiers for these guys. Poor men and women all over Mexico, and the supply is endless.
And the supply of guns going the other way, is this an issue in Washington? I hear people decrying Mexico. Mexico is unstable. The most extreme versions say the drug dealers are going to take over the country and overthrow the government, et cetera, et cetera. But if they're using weapons smuggled from the United States because the assault weapons ban was allowed by Congress to expire a few years ago, is anybody raising that battle cry, rallying cry in D.C.?
Well, you know, the gun issue is a tough one, and I think it's one that the Obama administration probably doesn't want to touch right now. And, you know, people say, yes, they are coming through the United States, but if we cut it off, then they would come through somewhere else.
This clip, this is from their trip back to Juarez later this year to see how the Army was doing policing the city. Turns out things went backwards, and they illustrate that, revisiting the story of one nun who has made a difference.
Every day for 14 years, I have been coming across the border, trying to make the world a little better.
6 months ago, we met Sister Donna Kustich. Every day, she would travel from the safety of her home in El Paso, Texas, across the border into the poorest neighborhoods of Juarez, where she employs nearly 50 women to work with local youth. When we went to check in with Sister Donna on this latest trip, for the first time in 14 years, she could not be found working in the Women's Center.
Ustedes saben que robaron a Dana, su carro. Dos hombres la bajaron y traían armas. Pero sí da miedo. Dana habló con su congregación y la congregación ahorita no está dispuesta a que Dana venga.
Yeah, these are just beautiful pictures. That's neat. There's the chapel and the cross. Isn't that cute? That was Christmas.
We found Sister Donna at home in El Paso with her colleague Sister Maureen, discussing the Women's Center that she built in Juarez, but can no longer visit. It is too early to know for sure, but without Sister Donna and the American assistance she brings with her, the center will struggle to stay open.
So sad.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is the collateral damage of the cartel war there. What happens is you have situations like this, where now this nun can no longer visit the community center. The American money that she brings dries up. The volunteers dries up. There's no food for the kids in the center, and it affects everybody in that neighborhood.
I gather there's a new mayor of Juarez who's trying to do something different?
He was one of the ones who really wanted the federal troops to come in to try to deal with this. He fired over half the police force, which you can imagine was a very dangerous thing to do. Before he did that, they had had 2 police chiefs killed in a 48-hour span. They assassinated the first one, replaced him, and then he was killed.
Wow.
You know, shortly
after. Because a lot of the officers were corrupt?
Mm-hmm. A lot of the officers were corrupt.
We just have a couple of minutes left. Talk about your work a little bit. People saw the New York Times logo in the corner of the videos. They think of the New York Times, still a lot of people do, as this thing you know, get the fingers dirty from the print coming off on. Are you the new kind of journalism at the New York Times?
Well, I mean, I hope we're part of it. You know, the New York Times has a big commitment to web video. It's the department that's growing most at the paper and online right now. We'll be going to Haiti to do a similar series next week as we did to this one. So, and they try to cross-promote it with the print and the video from the website and the paper.
You were telling me you've had many, many views because this was on the front page of the paper, right?
Right, exactly.
And it tells people to see some of this on video, which must be very alluring to people who are interested in the topic. They go to the website and click on the video and they can see your work.
And vice versa, yeah. The video also links back to draws people to the
paper.
paper.
How about for you as full-length documentary makers working in this short form? Because a video that goes on a newspaper site can't be but a few minutes long, right?
Right.
So is it constraining and constricting? Is it liberating in a way? What's it like?
I would say for us it's very liberating because it usually takes us a year to shoot a full-length film and to edit it and then to eventually get a broadcast and get it out. You know, whereas this, we shoot it in a week. We have it up on the site within a few days after that, and then, you know, millions of people are able to see it. So it's actually very rewarding for us.
15 seconds. What are you looking for in Haiti?
We're going to be doing a story about a former colonel from the U.S. Army who maintained his Haitian citizenship, and now he's going to go back and try to run for president of that country. And then also a story about the environment. Haiti's 97% deforested, and some people think there's almost no way back, and we're going to go look into that.
You're not afraid of the tough stuff, are you?
No.
Good luck. We'll be looking for your stuff in the Times and online. Thank you very much.
Thanks
a lot.